Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Director, welcome. Mr. Director, what's the national debt right now?
Well, it's we project at the end of this year it's going to be over $28.1 trillion.
28 trillion. What percentage of GDP is that?
It's just under 100%.
Could you speak into the mic and
Yep,
repeat that?
it's just under 100% of GDP.
Okay. And for this current fiscal year, will we have spending deficits?
Yes, sir. We're looking at about a $2 trillion deficit this year.
And that means that we've spent $2 trillion more than we took in, right?
That's right.
So we've had to borrow money.
That's right. That's right. The debt is going up.
And so that money that we borrowed increases the amount of national debt, doesn't it?
That's right. And it means more interest payments, which then goes back and means more debt. So there's a negative cycle attached to it.
Okay. So our current national debt is over 100% of our economy. It's $28 trillion. Mm-hmm. Let's suppose that we think in 10-year windows, as you know. Let's suppose nothing changes over the next 10 years. Nothing. We don't renew the tax cuts. Nothing changes. What's the debt going to be 10 years from now?
Right. So our projection is then over $50 trillion or over 122% of GDP.
Yeah. Well, damn, looks to me like we better do something. I mean, we can sit here and debate the tax cuts and you talk about the tax cuts don't work. I don't know how you know that because the pandemic skewed all economic results. But we better do something, huh? Do you think we can sustain the spending?
No, the risks are mounting with higher interest payments and higher debt. And that's, as you said, that's why action must be taken.
So what should we do?
It's, the sooner Congress acts, the easier it will be.
I get that.
It's not
So
going to be
what
easier.
should we do?
I'm here to support you, but not to tell
Support
you
me. What
not to
should
tell
we
you what
do?
to do. I mean, reduce the deficit. You have choices. You can look at mandatory spending on the spending side as a driver. You have healthcare costs and Social Security. On the revenue side.
Well, let me stop
Yep.
you for a second. Yeah, everybody always says that mandatory spending is driving the cost, but and they said, well, look, we've got to do something because the Social Security trust fund is going to run out, and Social Security is going to be automatically cut. Look me in the eye and tell me you really think the United States Congress is going to allow Social Security to be cut.
I would expect some action to be taken before that happens.
So if you think the United States Congress is going to sit here and allow Social Security to be cut, even if there's not a penny left in the trust fund, you've been dipping into your ketamine supply. It is not going to happen. We'll just go into the general fund and take the money, won't we?
Right, and that would add to the deficit under as compared to current law.
So why do we, I get it. We make these distinctions between mandatory spending and discretionary spending, but it's really out of the same pot.
That's right. There's just one general fund of the Treasury.
Okay, so one option is to reduce our spending, correct?
That's right.
What if we cut our spending 1%? 1%. What if we turned to every single department head in the federal government and said, next year you're going to cut your spending 1%. Not 5%, not 4%, 1%. Something families who are living under Bidenomics, which is defined as paying more to live worse, something families have to do every day. What would be the impact of a 1% cut by every budget officer?
Yeah. So outlays next year are going to be just under $7 trillion. So 1% of that is $70 billion.
What we did 2%. What would be the impact?
Yep, there'd be $140 billion, and that's the challenge, is that the deficit is so large that what you're saying makes a difference, but is pretty modest relative to the size of the challenge.
what do you think we would have to cut spending to get in control of our debt?
Yeah. So if you just wanted to stabilize the debt, make it so that the debt's at 100%,
Yes.
it goes up not by too much.
Yeah.
You'd have to cut and do it on the spending side. You're talking about $5 trillion over 10 years.
What percentage is that?
Right. So that's, over 10 years. So spending, say spending is 7 trillion, multiply that by 10, so it's about 70 trillion, a bit more.
Give me a percentage. American
Yeah,
people
so-
think in terms of percentage.
No, that's right. So say you're talking about a roughly 7 to 8% reduction in spending. Overall, just to stabilize the debt. We'd still have a high debt.
And then we
but it
could
would
try to
stabilize.
grow out of it.
Yeah, positive growth would improve revenues and help the situation.
I'm way over. I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. I enjoyed talking to you, Mr. Director.
Very good. Thank you.
Thanks,
sir.
Senator Kennedy. Senator Johnson.